academe, the diplomatic community, and of course, our think tanks. I'm Nikki de Guzman, news anchor of TV5 and Frontline Pilipinas Weekend, and I will be your host for today. Welcome to our conference entitled Strengthening Resilience for Food Security, Collaborative Strategies Against Agricultural Economic Sabotage. Now, this event is, of course, organized by the Strat-based ADR Institute. Now, our session for today will be a hybrid event. So thank you very much to everyone who's here with us here inside the venue and to those who are watching us via Zoom and via Facebook Live. So the Philippine agricultural sector is crucial for providing livelihoods to millions of Filipinos and ensuring food security. It contributes to around 9% of the country's gross domestic product and employs approximately 18% of the country's workforce, particularly in rural areas. This we know. Now, however, the vital sector faces significant threats from large-scale smuggling, hoarding. We also have profiteering and other cartel-related activities that manipulate our market prices. And then they also undermine fair competition. Now, these illegal activities have caused severe economic losses amounting to over 3 billion pesos in 2023 alone. Now, just this year, the country actually also lost 230 million pesos worth of smuggled agricultural products. And to combat this, the Philippines recently signed into law Republic Act number 12022, or the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Law, which aims to protect our farmers and fisherfolk from unscrupulous traders and importers, ensuring fair and affordable prices for agricultural and fishery products for consumers. Now, this law signifies our government's commitment to safeguard our country's agricultural sector from malicious activities that threaten food security, economic stability also, and the livelihoods of many Filipinos. And while it's a critical piece of legislation, the law's success, of course, depends on effective enforcement and interagency collaboration. That is why today we are gathering key stakeholders from the government, diplomatic community, academia, and think tanks to identify the enforcement gaps and strengthen response capabilities through improved interagency collaboration, resource sharing, and streamlined administrative process to effectively combat agricultural economic sabotage. This forum serves as an avenue for developing a comprehensive strategy to mitigate the impacts of illicit activities and ensure a stable access to affordable food, ensuring the long-term sustainability of our agricultural sector. Now, to officially open today's forum, please welcome the Chief Operating Officer of the Strat-based Group, Mr. Rupert Paul Manhit.
Thank you, Nikki. Now, all of you know my full name, but I'm RP Manhit. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and stakeholders, a pleasant morning to all. It is a privilege to welcome you all to this roundtable discussion on addressing economic challenges in the agricultural sector. As we address this critical issue that has been undermining our economy and the livelihood of our farmers, agricultural smuggling. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., during the ceremonial signing of the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Act, rightly stated that economic sabotage in agriculture is not simply a tale of dubious deals and inflated profits. It manifests as hunger, desperation, and betrayal. Furthermore, it undermines food sustainability, government revenue, and price stability for consumers. He noted in his speech that in 2023 alone, the Philippines lost over 3 billion to these illegal activities, with an additional 230 million worth of smuggled agricultural products seized just in the first 9 months of 2024. This rampant exploitation has worsened inflation and distorted market prices, hindered the agricultural sector's growth, ended public trust in our systems, affected government revenue, and caused significant losses for the private sector and even us consumers. The human cost is equally devastating, with countless Filipino farmers and fisherfolk struggling to make ends meet due to unfair competition from smuggled goods. The Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Act represents a transformative step forward. This landmark legislation not only strengthens penalties, but also establishes mechanisms like the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Council and an enforcement group dedicated to dismantling smuggling operations and ensuring coordinated efforts across various government agencies to tackle this issue head-on. However, the law is one component of the solution. Enforcement is critical. Proper enforcement not only ensures compliance, but also builds public trust and confidence in the system and the government. Today's panel discussion provides an opportunity to strategize on implementing robust oversight mechanisms and fostering collaboration across government agencies. We believe by working together, we can ensure this legislation achieves its full potential, empowering the Filipino people and safeguarding the integrity of our agricultural supply chain. As PBBM said, we will confront and dismantle the powerful forces that have long exploited our system, ensuring that justice prevails and the dignity of our agriculture sector is upheld. I hope that today's discussion will generate fruitful insights that may be adopted by our policymakers and key stakeholders in the industry. Let's all work together to make this legislation effective. A pleasant morning to all.
Thank you, Mr. RP Manhit. Now, our discussion for today will delve into the significant threats of the agriculture sector posed by large-scale smuggling, hoarding, profiteering. This we mentioned earlier. This will further explore strategies to enforce the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Act. We will be focusing on collaboration to create a coordinated response that safeguards the agricultural sector and ensures the national food security. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our esteemed panelists today. We have first off Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal Affairs of the Office of the President, Honorary Annalisa Lugan, who sends her regrets. And then we also have Undersecretary for Department of Agriculture, Inspectorate and Enforcement, Honorary Alvin John Balabag, to be presented by the Director 4 of the Assistant Secretary for Department of Agriculture, Inspectorate and Enforcement, Mr. Felicissimo Magdayan Jr. We have Undersecretary of the Department of Justice, Honorable Jessica Mujeres Adres, to be represented by Assistant Secretary Attorney Randolph Mascasio. Undersecretary of the Revenue Operations Group under the Department of Finance, Honorable Charlito Martin Mendoza, to be represented by the Project Director, Attorney Enim Abales. Undersecretary for Maritime of the Department of Transportation, Honorary Elmer Francisco Sarmiento. Undersecretary for Legal Services of the Department of Trade and Industry, Honorary Amanda Marino Gales. Commander of the Maritime Security Law Enforcement Command under the Philippine Coast Guard, Vice Admiral Robert Patrimonio. Deputy Chief for Operations of the Philippine National Police, Police Lieutenant General Michael John Dubria, to be represented by Director for Intelligence Police, Brigadier General Wistemundo Obinque. Alright. Deputy Commissioner of the Operations Group under the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Honorable Maridur Osario, to be represented by the Attorney 4 of the National Investigation Division, Attorney Mary Gretchen Rabon. And Director of the National Bureau of Investigation, Judge Jaime Santiago, to be represented by the Executive Officer for Operations, Attorney Van Homer Alubeng. Right, so before we proceed with our panel discussion, let's listen to the individual open statements of our esteemed panelists. Right? So let's start off with the Undersecretary for DA Inspectorate and Enforcement, Department of Agriculture, to be represented by Felicissimo Magdayan Jr., Director 4, Assistant Secretary for DA Inspectorate and Enforcement.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Director Jim Daya from the Department of Agriculture, Inspectorate and Enforcement, and I'm representing my principal, Yusik Alvin Balabag, and Basic Carlos Carag. So, in behalf of my principals of the from the Department of Agriculture, it is both a privilege and honor to address the gathering to discuss some of the most pressing challenges faced by the agricultural sector. As we discuss strengthening resilience for food security, we all know that it's not just a policy matter, but an obligation. An obligation to our stakeholders, to our farmers, fisher folks, and every Filipinos who depend on stable and secure, equitable food system. Republic Act 12022, also known as the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Law, stands as a landmark piece of legislation. It sends a clear message that exploitation and manipulation are taken seriously by our government. However, legislation alone is enough. It is the implementation, in the collaboration, and in the commitment of action for success lies. This brings us to the key focus areas that we define our fight against agricultural economic sabotage that are previously identified. 1. Enhancing interagency collaboration, streamlining administrative structure, establishing daily price indices for agricultural commodities, and developing strategic action plans. Agencies must share resources, expertise, information, or intelligence. Regular joint task forces and meetings must become a norm and not an exception. Data sharing protocol and technology-driven enforcement mechanisms should form the backbone of our efforts. By working together, we can move faster, smarter, and stronger against those who seek to undermine our agricultural economy. Effective implementation of the agricultural economic smuggling law depends on clarity roles and responsibilities. We must assign specific oversight functions to agencies or units thus enforcing the law. Administrative bottleneck must be limited, allowing decision-making and enforcement. One of the most innovative aspects of the law is the requirement to establish the price indices for agricultural products. Farmers will gain transparency, ensuring very fair prices produced. Consumers will also benefit as clear price indicators protect them from exploitation practices or exploitative practices. This initiative will build trust in our agricultural markets and serve as a reward device for economic sabotage. We need to strengthen controls by investing in fast inspection technologies. Comprehensive monitoring systems must be deployed across the supply chain to track the movements of agricultural commodities. And partnership with the local government units and farmers organizations must be strengthened to ensure grassroots levels of vigilance. Through these strategies, we can dismantle the infrastructure of agricultural economic sabotage one layer at a time. As we move forward, let's remember that our success will not be measured solely by laws, passed, or penalties imposed. It will be measured the trust we rebuild in our agricultural sector. The livelihood we safeguard, food security we ensure every Filipino family. Again, thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felicissimo Magdayan Jr. Now, may on Attorney Randolph A. Mascasio, Assistant Secretary, DOJ.
To the organizers of this fine event, esteemed colleagues in the government service, fellow panelists, guests, participants, good morning. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Good morning. It is an honor to represent the Department of Justice and address the urgent issue of agricultural smuggling and its pernicious impact on our nation's food security. This is not merely an enforcement challenge, but a national imperative that strikes at the very heart of our economic and social stability. Thus, from the outset of his administration, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has emphasized the importance of food security by combating agricultural economic sabotage. In his July 2023 State of the Nation address, or SONA, the President called for the strengthening of the then Republic Act number 10845, or the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act of 2016, to ensure effective prosecution of large-scale offenders. In furtherance thereof, in September 2023, the President certified for immediate enactment the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Bill, thereby reflecting the administration's unwavering commitment to effectively address agricultural smuggling. Data culled from past decade show that of the 547, and I repeat, 547 customs-related cases filed, only 23% reached the courts. And among the 192 agricultural smuggling cases, only 5%, and I repeat again, only 5% were prosecuted. Many cases were dismissed due to missing documents, insufficient evidence, and procedural gaps, compounded by the overlapping mandates between the Department of Agriculture that the President once headed and Bureau of Customs, which has sole authority over customs law violations. In 2023, the results of the congressional parallel DOJ and NBI investigations on onion, hoarding, and profiting revealed how bureaucratic inefficiencies enabled supply chain manipulation, creating artificial shortages and inflated prices. To address these challenges, your Department of Justice established a task force to ensure that evidence is complete, credible, and admissible in court for the successful prosecution of customs-related cases. The enactment in September 2024 of Republic Act number 12022, or the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Act, is a response to suppress the rampant smuggling of agricultural products. Unlike the old law, which limited the crime of economic sabotage to large-scale agricultural smuggling, RA 12022 has expanded the crime of agricultural economic sabotage to include hoarding, profiteering, and cartel activities when the value of products smuggled is at least 10 million pesos, now computed or pegged using the day price index. Also, under the new law, economic sabotage is a non-bailable offense, punishable with the more severe penalty of life imprisonment and a fine 5 times the value of the agricultural and fishery products. This legal breakthrough also now empowers our law enforcers, particularly the National Bureau of Investigation, the Philippine National Police, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Department of Finance, and even ordinary citizens to institute criminal action against offenders. As envisioned by the President, this proactive measure will prevent the entry of smuggled agricultural products and ensure payment of correct duties and taxes while exacting liability from law offenders. Worthy to note is the law's whole-of-nation approach, targeting not just the direct perpetrators but also their enablers, such as brokers, warehouse operators, and corrupt officials in the government. In this regard, your Department of Justice, as the prosecution arm of the government, plays a pivotal role. Transformative policies have been introduced even before the enactment of this law to enhance enforcement in case prosecution, such as the Department of Justice Department Circular number 20, series of 2023, which requires the active participation of our prosecutors during investigations and case build-ups, and raises the evidentiary threshold for preliminary investigations and inquest proceedings from probable cause to prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction, to ensure that only strong and quality cases proceed to court. Second, DC number 7, series of 2024, which extends the active investigative role of our prosecutors to customs law violations, including agricultural smuggling. Number 3, DC number 15, series of 2024, which institutionalizes, with the conformity of our Supreme Court, the executive nature of preliminary investigations and uniformly applies henceforth prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction as the new quantum of evidence, therefore. The policy on case build-up and requirement of a higher quantum of evidence complement the functions of the special team of prosecutors created under RA 12022 in effectively prosecuting appropriate criminal charges against perpetrators of the crime of agricultural economic sabotage. Needless to say, our fight against agricultural economic sabotage is both a legal and moral imperative. Your DOJ, in active collaboration with key agencies and the society in general, remains steadfast in its commitment to enforce the rule of law and protect the livelihoods of our farmers and fisherfolk, stabilize food prices, and secure food security for all Filipinos. Together, we can create a resilient agricultural system and a just environment where economic saboteur have no place. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Thank you, Attorney Randolph A. Piscasio. Now may we call Attorney Emmy Cabales, Project Director of UF.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm up here on behalf of Undersecretary Charlie Mendoza, who sends his regrets. Unfortunately, he was called to a different meeting. So, good morning again. We are honored to hear engage in today's panel. Passage of RA 12022, or the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Law, is a key legislation the UF supports as we believe will positively impact the agricultural sector. The law will protect our farmers against unfair competition, ensure food safety for the public, and stabilize food prices for consumers. The UF knows firsthand the government losses from agricultural smuggling. On a 12-year period alone, the BOC seized about 15 billion worth smuggled agricultural products. The UF has a dual role in implementation of the AES law. The UF is a member of both the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Council and the Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Enforcement. As a member of the council, the UF is responsible for overseeing the proper implementation of the law, including the power to deputize law enforcement and issue letters of authority. As a member of the enforcement group, the UF can take part in the enforcement activities itself, such as inspecting vessels, warehouses, and upon issuance of the law. We are in a unique position, and we are aware of the need to balance our oversight and enforcement function in implementing the law. We can depend on our attached bureau, the Bureau of Customs, and Bureau of Internal Revenue, as our partners in our drive to address smuggling activities in the country. BOF recognizes the importance of digitalization and the interoperability of government system in addressing the issue of smuggling. TradeNet, for the most part, has served as the Philippines' national single window. We are, however, working in establishing a new national single window through a public-private partnership. Negotiations with our opponent has already concluded, and we are in the approval process. We hope to have the system operational by the last quarter of 2025. The NSW streamlines trade processes by allowing importers and exporters to manage permits, licenses, clearances, document submissions, payments, and crew tracking through a single platform. This integration in collaboration with the ICT will enable real-time verification of import clearances from various regulatory agencies, combating fraudulent activities, and improving information sharing with the Council. Agencies regulating agricultural and fishery products will be prioritized and onboarded for the system. Parallel to the implementation of the AES law and NSW, DOF is also working closely with other agencies in operationalizing Administrative Order Number 23, which mandates the use of pre-border technical verification and cross-border electronic invoicing for all import commodities. During the third committee meeting of the Committee for Pre-border Technical Verification and Cross-border Electronic Invoicing, the Joint Administrative Order Implementation Number 23 was approved and signed. We will soon open the application for accreditation of testing, inspection, and certification companies. Phase 1 of the PTV implementation will cover agricultural products. With PTV in place, we aim to address the problem of misclassification and miscalculation of agricultural and fishery products. With CEI, we aim to address the issue of under-regulation of these products. In ensuring that goods comply with regulatory requirements before reaching Philippine borders, we move one step closer to ensure the end of smuggling. We at the Department of Finance are committed to implementing the AES law. We are confident that this law will not only deter economic sabotage, but also contribute to a more secure and resilient food system, ultimately ensuring long-term prosperity for our agricultural sector. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Attorney Emmy Macabales. Now may we call on Police Brigadier General Wesley Mundo Ovinque, Director for Intelligence, PNP.
To my fellow panelists, mga attendees, and our participants of this forum, organizers of this forum, sa inyong lahat, ako po ay bumabati at tuluyang magalang. I am Police Major General Patrick Binge, and pleased to have the opportunity to be part of this forum as I join you in today's discussion. On behalf of our Acting Deputy Chief PNP for Operations, Lieutenant General Michael John Dubria, I also wish to thank the Star Base for inviting us and for their initiative in organizing this activity. As we all know, smuggling has been high on the law enforcement radar for the longest time. In particular, agricultural smuggling and its associated activities such as hoarding, profiteering, and like have been a persistent challenge despite existing laws and law enforcement efforts due to their multifaceted derivations. The impact of these illegal activities represent a broader national security threat, not only on the government's revenue generation, but also to the livelihood of our local farmers and fisher folks, as they undermine their fair trade practices, price stability, food security, and amplify the risk on consumer health. Key factors have exploited the factors porous borders, extensive coastlines, and multiple ports, especially in the Zamboanga Peninsula, particularly the provinces of Sulu, Basilan, and Tawi-Tawi. The porous borders of these major hubs, accessibility of maritime routes, and their proximity to neighboring countries such as Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam make them susceptible to various forms of illicit trade. Law enforcement agencies face significant challenges in intercepting these smuggled goods as they traverse through multiple regions in the country and are transported through a network of covert channels to reach their intended destinations. Natural calamities, extreme changes in weather patterns, and biosafety hazards that influence food supply and production also contribute to conditions for agricultural smuggling to thrive. Smugglers also take advantage of gaps in government policies, adapt their strategy to new legal landscapes, and encourage corruption and challenge the rule of law. On this note, the Special Task Force Plutus is the PNP's implementing arm against smuggling as embodied in the PNP Memorandum Circular Number 16, dated July 16, 2024. It is tasked with the continuing operations against smuggling goods, commodities, and agricultural and fishery products in the country. Concurrent with its mission and functions, the PNP shall assist government agencies concerned in combating smuggling activities in the country through the Special Task Force Plutus, which will conduct surveillance, case build-up, investigation, and arrest and identified big-time smugglers. With the TADCO, or the Assistant Deputy Chief of Operations, as Task Force Commander, this task force was created to support anti-smuggling operations by conducting intelligence and counter-intelligence operations against individuals, government officials, corporate entities, and members of the security sectors engaged in all forms of smuggling. It collaborates with other government agencies through the quad concept, namely the intelligence, operations, the investigations, and the police community relations. Data from the PNP Directorate for Operations showed that the PNP's anti-smuggling campaign has yielded a total of 1,408 operations on smuggled cigarettes, agricultural, and petroleum products from January to November this year. These operations resulted in the arrest of 1,107 individuals, confiscated a total of almost 3 billion pesos worth of smuggled items, and filed a total of 807 cases. Against this backdrop, stemming the problem using an approach solely anchored on border security, law enforcement, and criminal justice cannot guarantee absolute results. The ratification of RA number 12022 for the Anti-Agricultural Sabotage Act adds another layer of defense in our campaign against agricultural smuggling and economic sabotage. With more commodities now covered under the new law, it is expected that more challenges will also arise to ensure its effective enforcement. Nonetheless, with the heavier penalties and fines, both stakeholder enforcement as well as other refinement introduced in the SID law, there is optimism. This will address the gaps in policies demonstrated by other legislations and create more responsive and impactful actions to address the problem of agricultural smuggling. While I know that work can be challenging, I also see this as an opportunity for broader and improved cooperation and coordination with our partners, to enhance intelligence and information sharing mechanism, and to utilize the advanced expertise and capabilities of law enforcement and prosecution units as we strengthen our resolve to disrupt the multi-tiered operations of criminals and ensure their prosecution. Moving forward, I hope that this meeting opens a fruitful and continuing platform of oversight and further develop the framework for cooperation to succeed in our collective goals. Muli, sa ating lahat, magandang araw po, at kung nagkataon na may tawag na sa inyo, masantos yung kapusan, sige lang pinabig ikalagan. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Police Major General Wesley Mundo Ovinque. Now may we call on Attorney Mary Gretchen Mondragon, Attorney for National Investigation Division, BIR.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Gretchen Mondragon. I'm honored to be here in front of you to represent the Bureau of Internal Revenue on behalf of Deputy Commissioner of the Operations Group of the BIR. I am stationed at the National Investigation Group, and the responsibility of our group is to investigate and collect taxes from based on tax fraud cases. So that's what we do. The informants come to us and report any as long as it's national taxes. It's covered under the tax code, and we can investigate high-profile cases. When I read RA 12022, I read the portion that the law provides authority to the council and to the enforcement group to investigate and to inspect warehouses and where imported goods or smuggled goods are situated. So my question is, the BIR also has that jurisdiction. If you look at the tax code, the commissioner has the authority to investigate and collect national taxes, which include excise taxes for the goods, imported goods, or excise taxes for goods manufactured, specific goods manufactured in the Philippines. So now it would be important to have streamlined processes and guidelines so that the Bureau also and the other agencies can follow, so that the proper coordination can take place, and so to result in faster collection of taxes eventually. So I look forward to the discussion this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Mary Gretchen Mondragon. And lastly, we call Attorney Van Homer Anubin, Executive Officer of Operations, NBI.
Good morning, everyone. So, just for clarification, I'm the Executive Officer of the Cybercrime Division, not of the NBI. So, that's a different person in the NBI. So, I only manage the operations of the Cybercrime Division as the Executive Officer for Operations. So, on behalf of our director, I'll be giving message of the NBI before this panel, all of this. The issue of underlying agricultural smuggling is a burden not only on the government, all of the people. Oftentimes, as law enforcers find difficulty in tracking down people involved in this activity. It has transformed into organized crime, and the advent of technology has evolved into a sophisticated form of illicit trade. The NBI, as the country's premier investigation agency, so the leadership of our director is eyeing the intensification of agricultural smuggling operations. In the past few months, we have mobilized not only our investigative units, but also our intelligence units to determine possible storage warehouses, the pattern of these products entering the country, as well as personalities involved in this illicit activity. The NBI has been always involved in crackdown to various operations nationwide. In fact, few months ago, the NBI, in coordination with the Department of Agriculture, conducted an anti-smuggling operation in Rilao, Bulacan, which resulted in confiscation and destruction of imported meat, fish, and plant products which are unfit for human consumption, valued at around 200 billion. The successful operation of a product of the NBI's cyber patrolling effort, which only shows that the NBI is also evolving its law enforcement strategy in combating crimes. However, despite the efforts of our investigators, there still is largely crime detection, which does require a holistic approach from the public and private sector. The difficulty in the crackdown of agricultural smuggling on the part of law enforcement sector does not lie on the lack of resources or lack of legislation, but on the lack of valuable information that law enforcers can process. Illegal activities does not present itself on its own, despite the agency's proactive approach in crime detection, which steers public to step up and report suspicious activities for our agency's perusal. As a reminder to the general public, fighting illicit activity should be everyone's fight. As law enforcers, we urge everyone to be the eyes and ears of the community. This, in fact, will exponentially lead the country's anti-crime capability. With this, we would like to thank the organizers of this event for spearheading this activity, and we look forward for more collaboration. Before I end this short message, I would like to share a quote from Emperor Haile Selassie, and I quote, "Throughout history, it has been the inaction of those who could act, the indifference of those who should have known better, the silence of the voice of justice when it matters most, that has made it possible for evil to triumph." With that, we hope that we could work hand in hand in these problems, disruption, and deterrence. Rest assured, and will be on board on this battle. Maraming salamat po.
Agreed. Thank you, Attorney Van Homer Anubin. And on behalf of DOTR, I'll be delivering Mr. Emerson Chago's speech, semi-annual speech, because his regards for his request rather for not being able to attend this afternoon. Okay, so stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor to stand here today to discuss the DOTR shared responsibility to an issue that lies at the heart of our nation's well-being. This is food security through fair competition. Now, one of the cornerstones of a country's economic capability and competitiveness is its strong logistics system that directly affects market prices of goods. The Philippines, with its strategic location in the Asian Pacific region and its geography, holds immense potential to be a logistics powerhouse. Our islands, linked by a vast network of seaports, airports, and roadways, positions us as a natural gateway for trade and commerce. And yet, alongside this opportunity, we face critical challenges that we must confront with urgency and resolve. In recent years, the Philippine logistics system has made strides in addressing bottlenecks and inefficiencies. Significant investments have also been made to modernize our ports, upgrade road networks, expand digital technologies to facilitate seamless movement of goods. But despite these advancements, challenges persist. Now, logistic costs in the Philippines remain among the highest in Southeast Asia. Congestions in urban centers, fragmented supply chains, and regulatory deficiencies hinder the smooth flow of goods and services. And these issues impact not only businesses but also the everyday lives of Filipinos who rely on efficient logistics for access to essential goods. In an archipelagic country like the Philippines, connectivity is a major issue. This then highlights the immense role of transportation, logistics, and cold chain industries, ensuring that basic goods and services, especially food, are provided to all stakeholders. The Philippine government recognizes that the achievement of food security for the country is directly linked to the development of the key industries mentioned above. Hence, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. conveyed a national directive during a cabinet meeting in September 2022, and joining national government agencies, including DOTR, to coordinate a 3-year plan to develop the food logistics chain, the cold chain industry, post infrastructure, and farm to market roads. Several convergence programs have also been signed in the latter part of 2022 and last year under this national directive. The DOTR and the Department of Trade and Industry prepared a 10.3-year food logistics action agenda targeting the establishment of food hubs in strategic areas of the country, unhampered movement of cargo, reduction of transport and logistics costs, investment in cold chain facilities, and upgrading of food supply chain infrastructure. This action plan also included measures to streamline the issuance of permits and licenses related to food and introduction of smart logistics in the agriculture ecosystem. Now, a component of this initiative covers the Farm to Market Development Program, which aims to consolidate existing data on private and public markets across the country. This includes dry and wet markets, consolidation areas, warehouses, trading posts, auction markets, bulk supply centers, wholesale markets, and processing plants. In an effort to supplement the ongoing Farm to Market Development Program across the country, the DOTR Maritime currently focuses on the construction and rehabilitation of social port projects and farm to market ports, and this is to enhance the mobility and connectivity that needs of Filipinos, and eventually translate to lower logistics costs and shipping fees. In fact, we have implemented a total of 402 port projects from 2015 to present. Around 270 of these ports have already been completed as of October 2024. And meanwhile, the Philippine cold chain industry has reported a significant growth of 250% from 2010 to 2020, and if logistics continuing growth at a rate of 8 to 10% per annum over the next 5 years. To maximize the opportunity, the Philippine government plans to strengthen the local cold chain industry in terms of programs, infrastructures, and of course, partnerships as well. Hence, the development of agriculture, with the support and funding of Asian Development Bank, was tasked to formulate the Philippine Food Chain Logistics Master Plan 2023 to 2033. Just as the 2023 first draft of this master plan was released among DA and its government partners, including DOTR. The Philippine Food Chain Logistics Master Plan, or the PFCLM, provides comprehensive framework for improving food chain logistics system in the Philippines by directly addressing issues of the Philippine agricultural value chain, such as efficiencies, constraints, and then also limited infrastructure. The PFCLM is also in line with the National Agriculture Industries Modernization and Industrialization Plan and the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, with a vision to create a sustainable, efficient, and resilient food logistics sector that empowers Filipino farmers and ensures food security for all. The PFCLM has developed specific strategic action areas that are closely interrelated and part of the entire food system, along with a roadmap for the implementation through sub-projects and detailed improvement lines. These strategic coordination areas, or SRAs, as well, are proposed to close the gaps towards more efficient food logistics. Now, the holistic approach of the master plan ensures that no critical areas are left out, and all necessary aspects are addressed to promote a more sustainable, resilient, and efficient food system. Through these strategies slated in the PCFLM, the Philippine government has high hopes for our food system to become more efficient, competitive, and resilient, therefore transforming the local agricultural sector and contributing to the nation's economic growth and social development. Aside from these master plans, the country's policy environment also dictates the performance of key industries and the achievement of our food security objectives. And with that, the DOTR is in full support of the goal to simplify government processes by working with various government agencies, including the DI, Bureau of Customs, and the Anti-Red Tape Authority to harmonize industry networks and make our country competitive in the global marketplace. In addition to all these efforts, the DOTR also actively expresses its support for the enactment into law of House Bill 4933, or the International Maritime Competitiveness Act. This bill includes provisions pushing for the transparency and regulation of destination, demurrage, and detention charges and container deposits, which translate to high costs of importation of goods and materials, and eventually the high price of these commodities shouldered by Philippine consumers. The finalization and publishing of the updated 10-year Maritime Industry Development Plan 2028 is also a major move towards the sustainable economic progress that we envision for the country. As we all know, a thriving maritime industry translates to a more conducive economic environment and a smooth influx of investments and facilitation of trade within the country. Consequently, the enactment of the amendments of the Public Service Act serves as a significant milestone for the Philippine logistics, as this allowed for investment in our domestic shipping industry. This ensured competition and efficiency in our domestic shipping service, and leading to the reduction in flight costs. In addition, Public Service Act enabled international carriers like Maersk's Line, CMA CGM, and others to go directly to local baseports to avoid double handling and overpriced costs, making logistics more efficient and responsive. In addition, we are hoping for the immediate signing of the executive order for the establishment of Office of Multimodal Transport and Logistics under the DOTR. This office shall issue the oversee policy measures, rules and regulations, guidelines, and other functions necessary to implement the provisions of the ASEAN Framework Agreement or Multimodal Transport. To guarantee the smooth enforcement of maritime laws, more stringent maritime security, the Philippine Coast is investing in the acquisition of vessels and surveillance mechanisms to combat smuggling and other crimes committed at sea. This is to protect holistically our maritime territory and all the lives that depend on it. Through these crazy initiatives of the government, we become closer to our goal of achieving a more connected, globally competitive, and a food secure Philippines. Truly, there are still gaps to fill as we strive to realize this vision for the country, but with consistent efforts both from the public and private sectors, we can turn challenges into great opportunities for our key industries. President Marcos Jr. himself highly believes in the competence of the Philippine logistics industry and even challenges the national government agencies who work together to realize his vision of making the Philippines a logistics hub in the ASEAN region. Together, we seek this opportunity, this challenge to push ourselves to contribute to the success of our national goals through our collective and consistent efforts for a more prosperous direction for the Philippines. And we're glad again to learn the attorney Yusek Elmer Sarmiento of the OPR. Okay, so we now proceed to the panel discussion. I'll be open the floor to anyone who would like to ask, whether here in the venue or via Facebook and Zoom. Okay, to our panelists. First off, following the passing into the ages law, what concrete actions have been undertaken since? Do we have any milestones? Maybe we could start with the DOJ, Attorney Special. Has no actions since the passing of the ages law. Last September.
Evaluated and within reasonable time to be given feedback by the prosecutor to the law enforcement agency endorsing said cases as to whether the said case will stand trial. If not, the immediate action of a handling prosecutor is not just to dismiss the case, but to help in case build up. When we say case build up, we will point to the law enforcement agencies what aspects of evidence still needing certification for purposes of ensuring conviction and close coordination and being accessible in itself. So our prosecutors are mandated to be accessible to law enforcers 24/7. So that is one paradigm shift. And for purposes of harvesting, should we say, fruits of this initial policy reform, we have registered 92% increase in our prosecution rate, meaning this may just still be a short time for us to have a full observation or full effect of that policy reform. But for immediate examination of our own recently installed policy, we already noted a remarkable increase in cases already filed in court and with higher possibility of conviction. And second, if I may say this also now, the shift in the quantum of evidence now required for purposes of preliminary investigation. Before, especially for lawyers, we've been baptized by the knowledge that law school should be probable cause. So mere probability or haka-haka, and in the secularistic scale of our USECA address, in scale of 1 to 10, an evidence that will just reach at most up to 5 will already trigger file of cases by prosecutor in court. This results in haphazard filing, ultimately leading to dismissal of cases, and ultimately not only affecting the rights of the accused who was heard in court, but ultimately the decreased perception of the deterrent factor of filing of criminal cases. So with this change in the quantum of proof now, as mentioned, prosecutors are required across all cases handled by the DOJ from probable cause into prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction. This is a mouthful terminology, but in a sense, again, in the scale of 1 to 10, from merely just 5, now we are required to hit at least 8 of the 10 mark, 10 being the moral certainty or guilt beyond reasonable doubt for criminal cases. It is worthy to know that this shift was also approved by the Supreme Court. Should I say approved because this also resulted in the carving out from the rules of court that particular rule number 112 of the rules of court into now DOJ Department Circular number 15. So these are the two major policy reforms, and the timing of implementing the same is very important because we're looking at least 6 years implementation, at least for this administration. Thank you.
And sir, before we jump to other agencies, what transitory provisions you did mention earlier about the Anti-Smuggling Act of 2016, will any of the pending cases from before be affected with the passage of this act?
Those cases, under the concept of criminal law, those cases were filed under the said applicable law. So the measurement of whether the accused is guilty or not will be based on the yardstick of that law. If there will be favorable provisions of the latter law, then that could also be applied to the accused. But for purposes of security conviction, they will be measured based on the provisions of the then existing law at the time of the filing. Thank you.
Understood, sir. Okay, any other milestone changes since the passage of the ages law? Maybe we could look at section 16. It says a comprehensive tracking and tracing system will be established to oversee the value chain of agricultural commodities, select, report, and on production, processing, transportation, storage, sale, import, and export documentation. Now, can anyone expound on how this can be done? This comprehensive tracking and tracing system. Perhaps we could hear from the A. Sir?
Thank you very much, ma'am. First of all, before we go into the tracking system, there is a requirement to the law that the council should first need for them to create the Council of Experts and the Executive Committee, the Secretariat, and come up with the rules of engagement. So far, our agencies or the agencies who are members of the council are having lateral coordinations already. And each one of us have our programs on how to track these goods. We all have existing mechanisms and systems, and we are trying to improve these systems through electronic and computerization. But we should start first with the rules of engagement that is supposed to be formulated by the Executive Committee. So under section 15 of the law, the council should first meet so that we could create this executive committee and appoint panel experts. And same council should come up with the rules of engagement to execute operations, to operationalize this new law.
So, sir, since this has been passed into law just last November, this has not happened. The council has not yet.
So far, I think wala nangyari.
Thank
So
you,
we are, although we are doing our part, we are initiating actions, or maybe you can help us figure this part of the law so that we can start the execution already.
Maybe we can also hear from PNP, sir. You did mention earlier a special task force dedicated to this in your speech.
Yes, Ms. Ma'am, magandang gabi. The Special Task Force Bluetooth, which I mentioned earlier in my speech, that it is conceptualized and created purposely to run against these smuggling activities of our countrymen who are cheating the revenues intended for the government. So this task force is headed by our Deputy Chief for Operations, headed by General Dubria, and under him directly is a Directorate for Operations, and my office, which is the Directorate for Intelligence. So in our collaboration and engagement with the Bureau of Customs at saka sa Coast Guard, Philippine Coast Guard, tandem po kami lagi pag nag-i-implement ng anti-smuggling activities. And we should see to it na transparent yung bawat opisina na ito in the implementation. Kasi if and when the operations to be implemented is duly covered with documents, yung may warrant, may search warrant, then this is the best thing for the law enforcement agencies. And by all means, we can flex our muscle para ma-implement yung operations. And with the enactment of this agricultural economic sabotage law, we are very happy because with this, as I've said, we can more flex our muscle para implement ang aming mandato, especially in the apprehensions of these smugglers. As I've said in my speech, a lot of operations and a lot of individuals were apprehended and cases has been filed against these people. Thank you, ma'am.
Maybe we can also hear from NBI, sir, concerning the tracking and tracing system.
Well, for the
The
tracking,
collection, yeah.
for the tracking tracing system, the NBI has not put any tracking or tracing system in place, but the director has already gave the directive to intensify the crackdown of smuggling. So agricultural smuggling and petroleum smuggling. The NBI, of course, as an law enforcement agency, is in charge of filing cases against these persons who are involved in this. But more importantly, we are more interested in the interdiction of warehouses containing these kind of products. In this way kasi, ang nakikita namin, pag nagkakaroon tayo ng ganitong operation, nagkakaroon ng damage dito sa natin sa mga perpetrators natin. And nai-hinder yung nila, yung pagpapasok nila ng mga dito, ng mga smuggled products. So, aside from the filing of cases, minomonitor din po namin yung confiscation hanggang dun po sa destruction together with the Department of Agriculture. In these past months, after the passage of the law, we have been consolidating yung mga reports na nare-receive namin, and rest assured, this coming weeks or coming months, together with the Department of Agriculture, magkakaroon po ang NBI ng sunod-sunod po na sting operations against these warehouses. Abangan nyo na lang po sa balita. I would not like to preempt yung po namin, magiging operations namin. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, sir. Maybe
So on the part of the Department of Finance, we mentioned earlier the establishment of a new national single window. So with the new national single window, we will be able to track the clearances and the import permits that are issued to agricultural product in real time. So that's something that is currently not yet in place. So we have an existing system. It's called TradeNet, but only a limited number of regulatory agencies are onboarded on that system. So the new system is expected to be more robust.
thank you, ma'am. Lastly, from BIR.
The RA 12022 in section 5 mentions that the BIR is supposed to set the minimum prices for tobacco product. It's not DTI. The daily price is next under the BIR. It's the minimum price for the sale of tobacco products, which is under the BIR. DTI is another section. Yeah. So here, I just want to make mention that in September, the Revenue Regulation 16, it was actually before the law came out, Revenue Regulation 16-2024 was issued, which set the prices for, minimum prices for cigarettes, heated tobacco products, vapor products. So it's there because of the other RAs, other laws. So we just need to tweak it in order to comply with RA 120222. Because 12022 mentioned that there should be consultation with the National Tobacco Administration. I do not see that in the revenue regulations. So maybe that needs to be in place. And I also noticed that there is the RA 12022 mentioned that there should be provision for margin in the minimum price. It's not in the revenue regulations. I don't see it here. It just, the revenue regulations just says cost, expenses, of cost and expenses, but not margin. But I'm not sure if margin is there. So just a little bit of tweaking, I guess, when I consulted with the different divisions in the large taxpayers group. They are not aware of the law yet because it came out in September. So there. And the mention of the BIR is under Section 2, which is the definition of terms. It states that the BIR rules on registration need to be followed. So actually, the processes are there already. You need to register before you import. Even before, you need a permit. And for every import, you need an application for importation, for every import. So importation. So it's all there already that needs just to be followed. And I guess I'm really looking forward to more streamlined guidelines to make sure that the rules don't overlap, especially when there's the citizen suit also. What will happen to the informers when they reach out to the BIR and to the DOJ? Thank
Right,
you.
we'll get to that in a while. Now let's go back to Section 5 since we touched on that earlier. We were referring to DPI, Daily Price Index. Yeah, so let's talk about that. This is supposed to be a benchmark for identifying instances of economic sabotage and improving transparency and accountability in the agricultural sector. No? But how can the council ensure its accuracy, its accessibility to all the stakeholders? Has there already been an established DPI since the passage of the act? Maybe we could talk to DA first.
Yes, ma'am, it's already existing and under the guidance of the secretary. We already have called it an office, which is the AMAS, or the Agribusiness Marketing Assistance Service, which is handling this monitoring and market monitoring system and price monitoring. They do this every Monday, and data gathered is being made as the basis of the DA if the prices are within the reasonable range or not. So, based on the data gathered by the AMAS, we study it and analyze it so that